to the Middle East. Why? Because you just hate Muslims so much. And for no reason. You're like, y'all don't even have their religion down pat. The thing is, y'all been fed propaganda about a religion that you have zero understanding of. And then here's the thing. You guys walk around like you have full understanding of it. That's the scary part about it. But let's get into it.
Lately, he's gotten very, very popular lately, I read, with Muslim viewers because he's been standing up for Islam.
There are some new listeners here. Oh, yeah. New listeners like this.
These days, Tucker Carlson has a big fan base amongst the anti-war left who see him as saying the right stuff, trying to stop Trump from illegal wars in Iran, and amongst a lot of Muslims and Arab Americans who see him now as this great champion of Palestine.
This brings us to, and I reached out, asked for her to, she's been on the show many times. Haven't heard.
Nah, shout out for Tucker Carlson on his work on Palestine, though. I mean, yeah, he's doing a damn good job. He's exposing the atrocities that's going on there that needs to be exposed and letting the American people know that, yo, this is what our funding to Israel goes to, the reckless slaughtering of Palestinians.
Back more recently. So I just want you to know, I have no personal ill will toward Megyn Kelly. We've had a pretty good rapport. But she did just say this. I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? It might have been 2 days ago.
May 5th.
Okay.
So, yeah,
so yesterday.
So yesterday. And this all happened within 24 hours, really 48 hours. When you see Candace Owens saying we have to heal the fracture with the left. Nick Fuentes, who's been on the show, saying, I'm a moderate Democrat. Tucker Carlson, you know.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Yeah, we kind of do, because here's the thing. You got, and I would just say there's the sensible people on the left and the unsensible people on the left. You know, the unsensible ones that believe in open borders, transgender surgery. I mean, all that crazy stuff that, you know, we stereotypically place on all people on the left, but really just a very small minority. So, yeah, let's just keep it real. We do need to low-key fix our relationship with the left and understand that there are sensible Dems, and we need to talk to them instead of this saying that all of them want an open border, all of them want transgender surgery, all of them want socialism, when they don't. When they don't, actually. There's a lot of people on the left that actually are capitalists. I mean, considering there's a whole lot of billionaires on the left that are capitalists.
Saying for a while now, he regrets telling people to vote for Donald Trump without providing a viable alternative. And now Megyn Kelly saying, you know what? Actually, maybe I was wrong about Islam, but most important, there's an audience here.
He's casting a wide net now. You know, once he said that he's sorry that he endorsed Trump, he regrets it and feels like he has to make amends. And his show is doing fine. It's not like he's hurting for audience, but I think he's understanding there may be some new listeners over here. You know, like he's gotten very, very popular lately, I read, with Muslim viewers because he's been standing up for Islam.
Now, to be clear, I've never been to the White House. I didn't go to the inaugural ball. I've never.
I mean, here's the thing, though. It's not like the man's talking about, oh, convert to Islam today. No, he's just saying, look, we should just really stop, like, hate. I'll be real with you. Overly radicalizing Muslims. Like, we say a lot of things about Muslims that just aren't true at all whatsoever. And then we say the most egregious thing about them that's just not true at all whatsoever. And then we take a small group of them and then frame it as the entire, like, 2 billion of them. So, yeah, there is some things that we do need to correct ourselves on Islam if we're even open-minded to do so. Because there's a lot of closed-minded people who just want to believe that Islam is just the most evil thing in the world. And that's only because it hypes up their supremacy about their own religion. Like, you know, Steven Crowder.
Never endorsed anybody until this very last election because I believed it was so consequential. I did endorse Donald Trump. And by the way, I don't regret it. I am glad that he is president of the United States. That's just a difference of opinion. You guys let me know if you think I'm a sellout because I'm glad that Donald Trump is president as opposed to Kamala Harris. Doesn't mean he's perfect, but that's the key. There are some new listeners here. Oh, yeah. New listeners like this.
These days, Tucker Carlson has a big fan base amongst the anti-war left who see him as saying the right stuff, trying to stop Trump from illegal wars in Iran, and amongst a lot of Muslims and Arab Americans who see him now as this great champion of Palestine. Wherever I go, literally, Hassan, wherever I go in this country, I do a lot of live events. I do a lot of public events.
See, like this comment right here. Like, I suggest you read about the history of Islam and the number of countries that's violently taken over. Okay, great. Well, how many countries have Christians violently taken over? How many countries have Hindus violently taken over? You don't know, do you? Because you've only been hyper-focused on Islam and you don't really look at the entirety of history. Because if you understood the entirety of history and ancient civilization back then, everybody was an imperialist. It was the only way to ensure the survival of your people when resources were very scarce. And if you understood where these people came from, basically in the desert with very few resources, and with a growing population, they had no choice but to be expansionists. Not because of Islam, but because of the necessity of resources through a growing population. That's something that the Muslims did, the Christians did, the Hindus did, and the pagans did. So it's literally like you guys just forgot all of the entirety of ancient civilization and the entirety of history on how humans behaved and how civilizations moved back in the day.
People come up to me, when are you going on Tucker Carlson? When are you going to do an event with Tucker Carlson? Why don't you do a collab with Tucker Carlson? We love Tucker Carlson. Wherever I go, people ask me more about Tucker Carlson, even in my own family, than they ask me about my wife and kids.
I will guarantee you this, by the year 2028, Tucker Carlson will be infinitely more popular in the Republican Party than Donald Trump. Infinitely.
Look, guys, it's humiliating. Tucker Carlson's fighting against this war more than any of the Democratic leaders.
The Islamic regime right now is literally broadcasting Tucker Carlson interviews in Persian on their 24-hour news channel.
Which was hilarious.
Now, that doesn't mean because there are some people who are left politically who can watch somebody, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's fine. I get it. You want a broader coalition. But when those people who, by the way, seek to subvert the United States. Any doubt about that with Mehdi Hassan?
Right.
Any doubt with...
I mean, okay, well, are you going to have the same judgment of Israel then? Because they constantly try to subvert the United States into conflicts in the Middle East. And a lot of these conflicts in the Middle East have created the radical Islamists that you bitch about today. Isn't that crazy? Like, really? Yes. Yes, Middle Eastern intervention has created some of the radical Muslims we see today, we fear today, and we bomb today. That's the problem with sitting there and fear-mongering on Islam, because here's the thing, it's not Islam, it's the fact that due to our, interference in these people's government, we've radicalized them towards Americans, and they just use Islam as honestly, just as a channel through it, because yes, in their religion, if they're being violently attacked, they are supposed to conduct jihad. If people are building military bases on holy sites, they're supposed to do jihad. I'm sorry, but if Muslims start occupying like the Vatican or Christian churches, you guys will lose y'all shit, and rightfully so. So it's kind of crazy how we understood if somebody did it to us, we'd react the same way as the Muslims do, but we criticize the Muslims for acting the same way that we would.
Cenk Uygur, by the way, the Young Turks, he denied the Armenian genocide for a very long time until he said, I was wrong about that. I promise I would never do the impression again. Oh, so the people who vote, as we just saw in the elections, they don't matter so much. It's the Mehdi Hassan crowd. It's a very clear pivot with, again, no reasoning beyond I say so. And here's Megyn Kelly. I want to know the flash of genius moment. What's changed?
I have to tell you, Mark, it's been something I've noticed just since I've gotten sort of more clear-eyed on Israel, that a lot of the anti-Muslim rhetoric that's put out there originates with people who are very, very pro-Israel.
Yep. And thank you, Megyn Kelly. Yeah, it's pro-Zionist propaganda. They want you to hate Muslims, so you think it's okay to recklessly bomb and kill Palestinians. So you think it's okay to overthrow these Muslim countries because you're releasing them from Islam, when really you're throwing them into, destruction and turmoil. Really, you're turning them into a civil war state. So I'm sorry, guys, but I don't know how this is not easy to see. They get you to hate Islam, so you're okay with the stabilizing Muslim countries because you think they're being free to Islam, when really they're being free to their sovereignty.
Who kind of need us to demonize them.
Right.
And I've taken a look recently at my own rhetoric on this to say, like, have I been manipulated? I want to make sure I'm not getting manipulated. But I think he's having a lot of Muslim viewers flock to him. I know for a fact he has a lot of young men flocking to him. And so while he may have lost some contingent of the Fox News audience that's very, very pro-Israel and pro-Trump, and you can't say anything about Trump, for every one of those who leaves, there is another newer, younger audience member who does want to hear these traditional lines challenged and hear just new independent thinking. I mean, I'm experiencing some of that myself, and Tucker probably times 10.
Yeah, a couple of things. Want to hear these traditional lines questioned. Do you mean the traditional lines like Islam is the religion of peace, and to question it is Islamophobia, which we had to live under?
Well, yeah, it's like saying, well, think about it like this. Christianity is a religion of peace, but there's been multiple Christians throughout history who committed atrocities. So, and I mean, that's the same thing with Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. If you read the Quran, it does preach for peace, but the men who worship Islam have committed atrocities, just like Christians, just like Hindus, just like Jews. So what's the difference here? And why are we picking and choosing? And if you ain't willing to call out the rest of them, then what you doing calling out Islam? You're just not being intellectually honest at this point.
By the way, we got that from George W. Bush as well, and certainly an entirely complicit media, to be clear. Do you mean that? Because
that's crying. What we've been... Hey, no, I heard that one on Twitter. That's hilarious. It's not Islamophobia. It's pattern recognition. It's like, no. I mean, here's the thing. Y'all not really scared of Islam. Y'all just intolerant. So we're going to call y'all Islam intolerant or whatever. But let's be real with you guys. You have an unnecessary hatred of Islam based on propaganda, not facts, on propaganda, and a lack of understanding on history.
Questioning. She's just, and the people who have really pushed this line of thinking, pro-Israel and have to, well, okay. What if someone has?
Here's the funny thing is, well, we don't jihad. Yes, y'all did. What was the Crusades? That was a jihad. Y'all went over there. Y'all did forced conversions. Y'all took land. Y'all killed people. There was raping going on. I mean, bro, just because you put a different name on it don't mean it wasn't the same thing. Like, come on now.
Happens to be pro-Israel, but it's irrelevant to their view of Islam. There are plenty of people, by the way, who are not pro-Israel who have the same view of Islam. Let me ask you, say these lines were pushed by those who are pro-Israel. Does that change the facts? Does it change the fact that, let me ask you this, has this changed? Did Muhammad wage wars? Yes, he did. Did Muhammad beat it?
Yeah, but Muhammad is a man, and the thing is, what you don't understand about Islam is they don't worship Muhammad, they worship Allah. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, so they don't worship Muhammad. They worship, like, basically they worship the same God the Jews do. They're monotheistic all the way through. So when you guys sit there and try to make it seem like, oh, the whole religion is based on Muhammad, that's where you already got the religion fucked up already. Like, already you got the religion fucked up. And what you guys think is out of the Quran actually comes from these hadiths. These hadiths just happen to be, I guess, historical recordings of this man's life, and there are authentic and unauthentic ones. And I don't even want to go through that with you guys, but like I'm telling you right now, a lot of you guys don't understand it whatsoever. But make sure I got his point down.
By those who are pro-Israel. Does that change the facts? Does it change the fact that, let me ask you this, has this changed? Did Muhammad wage wars? Yes, he did.
And Muhammad didn't wage wars because of Islam. No, he didn't do that. He waged wars because of, well, like I said, they were in the middle of the effing desert. Like, guys, we know today that the Middle East lacks resources, but oil, but it does lack the farming ability. It does lack water, and they had to expand because of resources. And that's what all empires were doing at that day. The Christian empires were doing it. Of course, the Muslim empires were doing it. I mean, back in the day, the Jewish ones were doing it and the pagan ones were doing it. So I'm sorry, but it's just kind of unfair to sit there and say, oh, well, theirs was about religion and ours was just about expansion. No, everybody was about expanding. Everybody was about procuring resources as their population grew.
Did Muhammad beat his wife? Yes, he did. Did Muhammad have a child bride? Yes, he did. To be fair, he only fucked her thighs from 6 to 9, Aisha, and then took her fully. Did he call for the deaths of Christians and Jews? Yes.
It does not say that whatsoever in the Quran, nor in the Hadiths. That's what I'm saying. It's like they add their own like interpretation of it, but no, it did not say that whatsoever. And here's a weird part. You know, Aisha, you know, the one you guys like to harp on, oh, she was 9 years old. Yeah, you're going on one side of a historical debate. So there's the debate that she was 9 years old, and then there's the debate that she was like 17 or 18, according to the age of her older sister. And this is what, historians have been looking at for like years now. So you're, like I said, you're just taking one side of an argument and then completely spinning it. And also, that was his third wife, right? And his fourth wife, I mean, not his fourth wife, but his first wife was like what? Basically like 30 or 40 years old. Second wife, 40 years old. So if he's a pedophile, why was his first two wives older than him? You can look this up. No, look it up. Because Aisha, they make it seem, I bet you didn't know this, because the way they make Aisha seem like this was this man's first wife. But no, Aisha was his third one. And I mean, if he's a pedophile, I mean, he's out here marrying what, 40-year-old women now? I don't know about that. And then also if we want to go into that argument, and I do give people this argument because a lot of Muslims do believe that she was 9 years old. But here's the thing. Back in that day, that's what everybody was doing, sadly. Everybody was doing that. Christian, Jew, Muslim alike, everybody was marrying off women at very young ages, sadly. That's just what the times were doing across the board. So, I mean, it's bad, but I mean, that's just what they were doing back in the day.
Yes, he did. Have Muslims...
Shoot, I mean, bro, some people still do it today in Muslim and Christian countries.
Every single century since its inception expanded through violent conquest? The answer is yes, they have, regardless of the state of Israel.
Yeah, were the Crusades an expansive conquest? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So who are we to judge? And people want to say, oh, yeah, but it was a response to Muslim takeover. Yeah, but you went over there and killed a bunch of Muslim Jews and also Christians who were living peacefully under Muslim rule. So I don't know how you reconcile with that, but all right.
Israel, to be clear. And do we find ourselves today, because of all of that, because of the founder of the feast and because of his instructions, do we find ourselves today with a crumbling Europe because of Islamic migrants and 198 million Muslims worldwide who support the use of violence against civilian targets to defend Islam? Yes, we do. So what amongst that has changed? Is it because someone who happens to be Jewish or happens to be pro-Israel?
Yeah, but bro, there's a lot. I mean, no, like I said, 2.5 million Muslims, and everybody wants to harp on the extremists. Like I said, y'all not being good faith about this. If all you're gonna do is harp on the extremists when you know majority of Muslims aren't bad and don't believe in none of the shit that you guys are talking about, or the way you're just slandering the religion. So if you guys understand that it's only 100 million out of 2.5 billion, then why are you trying to make it seem like all Muslims are bad? Why are you trying to make it seem like this is a religion that should be feared? Like, when you guys know it's a small majority out of the 2.5 billion that he just admitted himself.
Also understands those facts to be true, because I've always been critical of Islam for the same reasons that I'm critical of Islam today. The facts have not changed.
Well, Muhammad did have slaves. He did slaughter a few hundred Jews, and some of his last words were cursing the Jewish and Christian people. I'm still not seeing how someone could interpret this religion as violent.
Actually, no, that's not true. Actually, Muhammad actually allowed people to, Christians, Jews, and Christian Jews and some pagans live peacefully under them. And I know y'all want to say, oh, but they have to pay taxes. Yeah, but the Crusaders came through and didn't even offer a tax reason and just killed them. So, I mean, who was better?
And there we go, Aisha with a black eye and a fat lip. Oh, look at that picture.
Yeah, and you see, you're just straight slanderers. It's like, you're not even being good faith. But it's funny, though.
And in the spirit of full disclosure, Muhammad had many wives.
Yeah.
Not Muhammad.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Why don't you name those many wives? I mean, since you know so much and you want to call him a pedophile, well, name the fact that his first wife was older than him, his second wife was older than him, and Aisha, the third wife, was the one that was younger. But y'all don't ever add that to there, do y'all?
Shut up! You don't know the boss of me! I sincerely think the world would be a better place if every Muslim acted like Muhammad. According to modern law, they'd have to be jailed.
Allah is going to finally get to decide. By the way, not covering up your whole body, that's a bad deed. By the way, wanting equal rights, women, that's a bad deed. By the way, free speech, that's a bad deed. So every single person who isn't a radical Muslim gets no grace from Allah.
Actually, no. You've completely misinterpreted the Quran if that's what you got out of it. Not at all. Actually, well, think about it like this. There's a lot of scholars in Islam and they all debate. Just like there's a lot of scholars in Christianity and they all debate. Why? Because there's criticism allowed in Islam. And if there wasn't criticism allowed in Islam, then what the fuck are we doing with the whole Shia and Sunni sets in then? And the Wahhabis and all this good stuff. I mean, if that was the case. But like I said, he has zero understanding of Islam. Or really just how things go in the Middle East. And I think if a lot of conservatives actually understood Middle Eastern politics and actually what goes on there, you wouldn't really be so fearful of Islam and you'd be more upset of our foreign policy.
By the grace of Allah is an oxymoron.
I know. There's so many misconceptions about jihad. I'm here to clear that up a little bit. It's not what you think. No. See, I thought it was about waging a holy war against all non-Muslims involving subjugation, conversion, or ultimately execution.
No, actually, it's about invoking Islamic law. Actually, it's like that's the funny thing about it, though. Well, no, wait, my bad. That's Sharia law. My bad. That's Sharia law. But if we actually go into jihad, which we will, well, here it is. Now, jihad is an Arabic term literally meaning striving or struggling in the path of God, taking both spiritual and physical forms. While often used for personal, moral, or social improvement, it is also encompasses defense against injustice or, in militant context, violent actions. So, really, jihad can damn near be something like against yourself. Like, oh, I've been gambling a lot. I have to do jihad against myself to go against this physical, problem that I'm going against. And I know I've heard Muslims explain it like this. Yeah, people do jihad on themselves. And then they can do jihad against other people who are what? Pretty much, committing injustice and military actions against them. So that's what it means in full context. So you could do jihad on yourself and other people.
That's actually pretty good. It's exactly what you think. Nailed it!
Muhammad was not only involved in the commanding of killing certain women, committed domestic violence against his wife Aisha, said that women constituted a majority of hell, but there was actually a dame who was stoned to death.
Actually, no. Never committed never beat Aisha, actually. Never did. It's actually funny. Aisha, from her own accounts, from Aisha's own accounts, the prophet never hit her. Yes, they said the messenger of Allah, in her own accounts, never hit her. So where is he getting this from? And no, guys, you can look this up right now. Look it up. Did the Prophet Muhammad hit Aisha? And they'll tell you no. Even it comes from her own account that the Prophet Muhammad never put a finger on her, never bruised her. Now, I think there was a story where she was trying to follow him and he just pushed her like, yo, stay back. But that was it. But all right, let's keep it going.
As per his individual orders. And here's like I show that so you to death as per his individual orders. And here's like I show that so you see the timeline because I can't run from my record.
No.
And now I'm not someone who was on Fox News saying one thing and then my private text revealed that I hated Donald Trump and I thought he was a cancer in the party and I reviled the vote.
Guys, I'm not a Muslim. That's the funniest thing. So when you guys sit there and say F Allah and you're fake pedophile, I mean, like, first off, fake pedophile God. I mean, like I said, if you were talking about Islam, you're also calling the God of Jews and the God of Christians pedophilic as well. You know that, right? That's what I'm saying. You guys are like a little bit too ignorant. It's part of the Abrahamic religion. Like the Quran pretty much validates the Torah and the Bible and also validates Jesus's coming and his, not resurrection, because they believe that God pretty much played a trick on the crowd and pretty much just rose Jesus to the heavens. But either way, y'all both believe that the man's going to come back in the end of times. So it's kind of crazy to sit there, talk bad about Islam while not also understanding that you're also rejecting your own religion as well. Believe in all the prophets you do, believe in all the messiahs you do. So I don't really understand what the beef is.
Voters as the plebs of society. I don't have, but I do have a track record of citing books versus Muhammad's own words and being critical and believing that it's a threat. I've also grown up with it. Yeah. I've also grown up with it. I went to a school where a kid wore an I Plain New York shirt, and I got in trouble because it almost came to blows, and I made fun of, it turns out he had cancer. I didn't know. I told him he looked like a walking penis with teeth, but I don't feel bad about it.
You shouldn't feel bad about it.
I've lived with it. I've lived it. I've experienced it, and I've communicated it to you. I would be embarrassed if I changed my view, and it would be a requirement of me. I would imagine you would require this of me to explain, well, actually, all of these facts and verses and historical context that I have provided with.
Nah, that is so true. You know what's funny? A lot of people forget also that, Christians, I mean, bro, if you're not a Christian, they'll ostracize you out the community sometimes. You can't even live in certain places unless you're a Christian. So to sit there and judge Muslims for doing the same thing Christians do is absolutely hilarious, by the way. That's what I'm saying. It's like they don't even look at how they don't even look at themselves at a certain point.
References. I was wrong about all of that because, and you know what? I was wrong about all of that because the Jews told me so. Ain't gonna do it. They don't seem to care because theirs has just been, oh yeah, Islam, bad, right? Migrants. Tommy Robinson is still out there right now fighting against the Islamicization of the West. That still is a very key battle. You know what's happening? The epicenter is becoming.
No, here's the thing. We can sit there and talk about UK's immigration problem, and I'll agree with you all day. But when you sit there and say, oh, it's a Muslim problem, well, that's where I kind of got to disagree with you. Because you bring in any number of people and it's going to be a problem. You bring in a whole bunch of Indians, you're going to be talking about an Indian problem. I mean, and that's the funny thing is that they do, and they don't talk about an Indian problem. And actually the most brought in immigrant were Indians into the UK, but nobody wants to talk about Indians though. So you kind of see how things are kind of skewed. No, look this up. Look up how much the most brought in immigrant into the UK, and you'll be surprised because it ain't Muslims.
The Meadows in Texas. You don't think that's a threat? Anywhere, let me be really clear.
Well, actually, here's the problem. You know what? I do think that's a threat. I do think that, any culture to try to cut off their own little city inside of America, yeah, that's a threat. So are you going to go there and kick out all the Jews out of New York and New Jersey? Because they got their own police, own hospitals, no churches, no mosques, no nothing, just synagogues. So, and that's exactly what the Muslims are trying to do. So are you going to go there and bitch about the Muslims doing the same thing? Are you going to go there and bitch about the Chinese doing the same thing on Canal Street in New York City? Are you? Oh, no? Okay, then shut the fuck up. Because I'm sorry, but now y'all just picking and choosing, and that's where it gets annoying. Because I'm just like, oh, no, I'm with y'all. But then now y'all just like, oh, but only Muslims, though. It's like, no. If we're going to do it to Muslims, we got to do it to everybody. Like, nobody can have themselves a little cut off in America, and they all got to assimilate to American culture. No, you're not just going to let the Jews go ahead and do whatever they want or let the Muslims do whatever they want. No, all of them are going to get the hammer brought down on them. Equal.
Anywhere Islam becomes a majority, you're done. That's it.
Yeah.
Curtains. It's never gone another way.
Like bed bugs.
Effectively. So it's now incumbent upon the people saying, now I've had to re-examine my line of thinking. Okay. That's the first 20% of this statement. You've had to re-examine it. And what's your line of thinking now? Oh, Muslims like Jesus because they say he was a teacher but deny his divinity. You got to give us a little bit more than that.
Well, remember, they said he's the Messiah, and it's not really denying his divinity. They're denying the Son of God part, because actually, no, Muslims recognize Jesus's miracles. They also said that Jesus spoke as a baby to defend his mother's honor. So, I mean, they even mention a miracle that not the Bible doesn't even mention. So, no, they recognize all of Jesus's miracles and his divinity as the Messiah, but they do not see him as the Son of God because they see God as only being one and nothing can be at God's level. So they have such a respect for God or Allah that they can never put anything on his level. Now, the way Christians see it is that Jesus is on the same level as God. They're the one and the same. But Muslims, they just don't see that. They see God as being one and Jesus being the Messiah and the messenger or the anointed one.
Rumble Wallet. Keep your crypto safe, even when you
I'm weak.
are at your most vulnerable.
Okay. Unload the or crypto. And the fact that this has all happened seemingly in unison, where it's like, wait, hold on a second. Islam is not a threat. Well, we've all been fighting against that for a very long time.
Yeah.
Democrats aren't that bad.
No, that's not really denying his divinity. Denying his divinity all the way through would be saying, no, he wasn't the Messiah. No, he didn't commit no miracles. But Muslims recognize all that. So I think you guys are being a bit intellectually dishonest when you talk about his divinity, because Elijah had divinity as well, because he was a Messiah and he committed miracles. So yeah, and so you can't really say they deny all of his divinity. No, they just deny him being, the same as God. And I don't really see anything wrong with that. Like, I don't necessarily agree, but I mean, look, long as we can agree that the man's coming back at the end, I think we can be cool.
What?
And also understand that, through Western intervention, we done radicalized a lot of these Muslims to who they are today. And bomb some of these guys back into slavery as well. But, we don't want to mention that when we talk about what's going on in the Middle East, do we?
They're all the same. Well, then why did you endorse Donald Trump? Megyn Kelly, is this the same thing that Megyn Kelly would apply to, having trans children and supporting it on her show when she was on a mainstream network? Also doing the Me Too thing, which may or may not have happened at Fox News, that film Bombshell, being a feminist and anti-Trump until she went online, realized you can't survive, carrying the legacy media talking points, and now going, there might be a new audience of Islamic people who, by the way, seek the destruction of the West. When this is very important.
The Islamic people just want the West to leave them the F alone and stop trying to overthrow their countries, stop doing the economic sanctions. That's what they truly want. If you ask them, if you actually ask these guys, you said, hey, hey, we want you to stop taking over the West. They'll hit you with we don't want to take over the West. We want the West to stop trying to take over us. Like, what do you mean? Like, take over the West? Like, please tell us a recent Western country we took over. I'm telling you, this is how the Muslims will look at us. Like, we fucking crazy. Like, dog, you just overthrew Syria. Look what you did to Afghanistan. Look what you did to Libya. Look what you're letting the UAE do to Sudan. But you're saying we're the ones wanting to take over? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, hell no.
I've talked about this a few times. It's kind of a cliche where they'll point to people going like, well, if you don't like it here in the United States, if you think that Castro's regime is so good, why don't you go there? Or if you think it's so great in Iran, why don't you go over there? Here's the thing. It may be someone who sounds silly or ignorant saying it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just like when people say, well, I'm not racist. I have a lot of black friends. People on the left go, so you think that defends you? It's actually a perfectly legitimate defense. The fact that it's sort of become cliche because it's been used so much doesn't mean it's invalid. It means that it's been used so much because, generally speaking, someone who hates black people wouldn't have a lot of close black friends. Someone saying, if you don't like it here in this country and you think it's better in insert country here, Iran, UAE, Nicaragua, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Canada, right? If you think it's better there,
nobody's saying that it's better there. We're saying stop villainizing these people so you can have excuses to try to overthrow their country or overthrow their government. That's what we're saying. We're saying just like, stop villainizing them so you have a reason to go over there and try to take them over. That's it. I mean, if we're so scared of them and we fear them so much, why the fuck are we always involved in their politics? Like, let's be real here. Like, at a certain point, we're not making sense here. And like I said, talking about Muslims trying to take over when we've been toppling every Muslim country in the Middle East is hilarious. And then the ones we don't topple is literally we control. Hilarious, guys, how we're having this Muslim takeover. Like, it's real funny.
Why don't you move there? You are free to do so. Yeah. There is an answer, though, and that's the important part. The answer is that if someone says these other countries, these other regimes, communist China, communist Cuba, the Islamic world, it's better than the United States, and they stay here. The answer is they are staying here to subvert this country to the point.
Well, why are they here? Why are they here, Crowder? Why? Because we recklessly bombed their country, we supported warlords and dictators and made their country unlivable. Oh yeah, in a fucking war zone. Like Somalians? Yeah, the Somali people. Yeah. That's exactly what we did. We supported a warlord. It turned into a war zone, and we had to bring a whole bunch of Somalis over here. The same Somali that you guys are bitching about. Well, guess why they're here? Because of Middle Eastern intervention. The same Middle Eastern intervention that y'all ain't seem to learn y'all lesson from because you're supporting it today.
That it becomes like theirs. That's why they're staying here.
Mm-hmm. This is their strategy.
No, they're staying here because we completely destroyed their country. Like, Syrians are here because it's an all-out war in Syria because we toppled the regime. People from Afghanistan are all the way over here because we've destroyed the government and we've let the Taliban take over. People in Libya are here because their government's been destroyed. People in Sudan are here because we let UAE terrorize them with their proxies. So I'm sorry, but it's really hard to hear that argument when we're literally the cause of it.
And blowing people up failed. And we lived through that. That's the reason that I'm on this show, is because I used to come and comment on what was going on in the world when somebody invariably every few months blew themselves up or shot up Charlie Hebdo or shot at people that were at an art festival somewhere in Texas that had the Prophet Muhammad painted incorrectly, right? Invariably it happened. And I would just like to ask Megyn Kelly, I think all of this is bullshit. Tell me when you changed your mind. Because in January, you were saying exactly the opposite. And the reason I bring that up, it's not like you couldn't have gotten new information from January to today.
Because if you actually got a brain, I'm sorry, let me not be too mean, but if you actually understand pattern recognition, you would understand how they sold the same Muslim hate to us during 9/11 to get us into this Iraq war. Or to get us into the Iraq war. You'd understand how that's all they do is sell us hatred of people and to get us into a conflict. And we fall for it every single time. And I'm telling you guys right now, this whole hatred propaganda of Islam is to sell you into the next Middle Eastern conflict because you're feeling like you're liberating people from Islam when really, but you're liberating people from their sovereignty. Because did we liberate Afghanistan from Islam? Nope. Did we liberate Syria from Islam? Nope. So what are we doing here? And like I said, it's real funny how we're talking about a Muslim takeover when we've been the one toppling their countries. Like, that's hilarious. Like, it's really funny how we came up with that. And I know somebody in the chat said, little by little, bro, we're doing it country by country. I'm sorry, but what little by little? 5% of America's Muslims. Like, at this point, you guys sound crazy even saying that there's a Muslim takeover with 5%. And there's over 100 million Christians. But we're about 5 million Muslims. 1% of the country. Like, this is crazy.
I'll grant you that is. But help me understand what parts of Islam.
Here's the thing. Christianity is probably the second biggest faith that's growing, not Islam. There's more people turning to Christianity than Islam in America. So I really don't know what the fear is and why y'all crying so much. But it is what it is. Or, I mean, not like gonna say crying, but why are y'all so apprehensive towards Islam?
You were enlightened about that are no longer antithetical to the West, as you said. What values that Islam says that they have and want to have for the rest of the world? What parts of Sharia law are now in line with Christianity and the Constitution of the United States? Help me understand, because what it sounds like is somebody said it's all been the.
But I don't know. What was it? Babosta? Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention to you, dude. I'm sorry. What were you talking about? It's kind of funny. Like, here's the part where the host bans me. I'm like, well, if that's what you want, I'll do it for you. Like, why not? I mean, you're asking for it, so I got you.
Use this entire time, and you bought it. Do me a favor. Help me understand why Hindus hated Muslims prior to the creation of the state of Israel.
Like, guys, you can disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. I have no problem with you disagreeing with me whatsoever. Obviously not. But come on now. Don't sit there and cry and act like I'm scared to engage you. It's just I'm not looking at you right now. And I mean, look, you can super chat in, or you can hope that I catch it when I look down, but don't cry about it.
Let me understand that. If it's the Jews that are doing this everywhere, you telling me that there's Hindu Jews out there doing this?
I'm sure there are a few.
Doesn't make sense.
Hindu.
Yeah, Hindu. And by the way, they are the cheapest of the cheap. You combine the two, they're tipping in pennies.
You know what? I did leave out one possible scenario. She didn't know what she was talking about to begin with.
Well, I'll leave one more.
Oh, you guys don't know what y'all talking about when it comes to Islam. So y'all don't even know what y'all talking about to begin with. Y'all still believe the same anti-Islam propaganda. So y'all are going to support every single war we get into in the Middle East, or every single conflict, because you think we're liberating people of Islam. You're still foolish enough to think that. Like, that's the problem. And every time we got the American public to think that, what do? Get right into a conflict with a Middle Eastern country. Every single time. You don't see the pattern yet, or you need it to happen again?
Possible scenario. There are quite a few new listeners here.
Oh, wait. 56 billion?
Yeah, quite a few new listeners here.
Every show.
And I'm not just talking about Islam. I'm talking about the left that seeks to subvert it. Let me ask you this. AOC. Do you think that AOC is in our government because she wants to return America to its Christian traditional roots?
Hell no. Come on now. It's AOC. We know damn well she don't care about Christian traditional roots. But here's the problem with you Christian extremists is that, yeah, here's the thing. There are some founders who did not like Christianity, and they seen it to do exactly what you're doing today, Steven Crowder. What you're doing today is exactly what James Madison warned about when it came to Christianity. You know what? Let me go ahead and pull up my man James Madison's quote on Christianity, because it was, it was pretty informative. And why? Because it kind of shows that, we had a lot of different thinkers who founded this country, not just a whole bunch of Christian men. And the thinkers who thought outside of Christianity kind of seen that, you guys kind of lead things to bigotry. And, we left the Christian country because it didn't allow freedom of speech. So for you guys to say that, freedom of speech is a Christian value is absolutely hilarious, because it wasn't that way throughout history. I'll tell you that. Until you guys came here with a bunch of guys who weren't Christians either. And we came up with freedom of speech. Now you're saying it's a Christian value when people who did not believe in Christianity all came up with it? I mean, bro, if we had it straight Christians, then we'd have blasphemy laws. So no, Christians don't believe in freedom of speech when it comes to their religion. And neither do Muslims, and neither do Jews. It is what it is. But that's why we got separation of church and state. And thank God we had founding fathers who weren't Christians, who actually thought outside of the guidelines of Christianity. So we wouldn't have this great country. Believe it or not.
Do you think she's a representative because she loves America and wants to improve America to what it's meant to be? Or do you think she would rather America be like Cuba? Do you think she would rather America be like Venezuela or Bernie Sanders? Do you think he's in office because he loves freedom, pursuit of happiness, First Amendment, Second Amendment rights, and he wants a traditional Christian nationalist viewpoint as the founder?
Yeah, see, and here's the thing, though. The Christian nationalist viewpoint, that's the problem. It's just like, it kind of seems like you guys just want an excuse just to hate people. Really just to hate Muslims. And then here's the problem. I mean, once y'all done with Muslims, who's next? Because then y'all going to turn your focus to the Hindus, and then you're going to go to others, start going down the line of races of people. So who's next? That's what I wonder. But all right, though.
Founding fathers, or do you think he believes breadlines are a good thing and he'd like to bring them here? Do you think that Karen Bass, mayor of Los Angeles, do you think she's mayor of Los Angeles because she wants Los Angeles to be a wonderful city, an example of American exceptionalism, where your hard work is rewarded and our industrious nature, right? We're a shining city on a hill. Or do you think, for the same reason that she traveled to Cuba dozens of times under a fake program that allows her to take part in their propaganda programs under the guise of construction, do you think she would rather make Los Angeles more like Cuba? Record homelessness, entitlement programs.
So let's go into what the founding fathers was talking about. I believe this was James Madison. But let's get it. The effects of established religion in 1775. My bad. 1785. Memorial and stance. Okay, yes, against religious assessments. Now, Madison argued that 15 centuries of established Christianity had produced pride in insolence in the clergy, ignorance, and, well, let's see here, a rise in both bigotry and persecution. So, oh yes, and also superstition as well. Yeah, I mean, come on, no, but back in the day, Christians were pretty superstition. Also, Madison warned that a religious sect may have degenerated into a political faction. So, Christian nationalism, and see, I mean, bro, the founding fathers was calling y'all out from the beginning. They said, hey, man, if we let some of these Christians get a little too crazy, these guys are going to start getting a bit crazy. It's going to start being superstition, bigotry, and persecution. The bigotry against what? Islam, persecution of what? You know what? If you ask the Dems, and I'm not trying to be a Dem here, but you could say the persecution of like what? Brown people or the immigrants, which I'm all for, because they do need to get the hell up out of here, especially if they're undocumented. But hey, it is what it is. And of course, superstition. Christian Zionism. We will say Christian Zionism, the best example of Christian superstition and going a bit too damn far. Bit too far. The rest of y'all are cool though. And the thing is, I love Christianity and I love the religion of Islam. I love both of them. The problem is, though, I just hate how they be at each other's neck when both of them be on bullshit, but both of them have their benefits. All right. But do you want, yes, and shout out to separation of church and state, because our founding fathers and a lot of them understood that, if you let one religion take over, it be Islam or Christianity, we're going to have a lot of effing problems. But the problem is today that there are literally people like Steven Crowder who want the same thing the Muslims want. Basically, Christian nationalism to take over. Yeah, and they want Islamic nationalism to take over. You want Christianity to take over America, they want Islam to take over America. I guess you guys can kumbaya over that. But all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and head on out, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure to double tap that screen, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already by hitting that icon above. And like I said, make sure to smash that like button. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Appreciate the support, guys. Peace. Wait, no, before I leave out, though, make sure. But yeah, all right, then. Peace. Yo, this is S.E.T Media, man. I'm here to talk to you about our partner, Kalshi. Kalshi is the largest legal prediction market in the United States with over 1 million users.